personally believe every business owner, eventually you start as the jack of all trades and then you become an expert of one or two things.
So the first thing you look at when you look at your schedule is, where is my family time going to be? Hobbies, you may think it's not important, but man, if you're not doing anything for yourself, then you're going to get burnt out and frustrated quick. And so I'm still a big advocate of not getting up and working out first thing in the morning.
Because everybody thinks money has to be the priority, and it is. But they think of it backwards. Gas, snacks, bathroom.
God, dude.
Lock in.
Yeah, that's it. And then I'm just like, I should have handled that differently.
Yep. I gotta say something or I'm never sleeping.
My body so far is put up to any of the abuse I've asked it to endure, but I was glad that the bike held up the entire time too,
Carrying around. I built this shit.
Yeah.
I built this. Welcome to this edition of the Balanced CEO podcast. Today, I got my homie, Danny Lehr. Excited to have him. He owns a gym in Manteca, CrossFit Excel. And then he also owns Caffeine and Kilos, correct?
Yeah, man. That's it.
So coffee and fitness.
Coffee and fitness.
I feel like they're hand in hand at this point.
Anything that brings joy to people's lives, that's what we got going on.
I love it, man. But I think when you guys started Caffeine and Kilos, that was not quite the world yet. How did you kind of find that whole thing?
Well, so, it really comes back to weightlifting. Olympic style weightlifting is a big part of it. So I had the gym. And then at that time in 2010, I started competing in Olympic style weightlifting. And that was really, like most things in life, it kind of happened on accident at first. And then this is pretty fun. I should do more of this. And so I started competing at a national level in weightlifting, and I was lifting for California Strength, which was best team in the nation.
Oh, yeah.
When I start on that team, got a couple of my teammates my new teammates, when I just started, that had just won national championships. They're training to go compete at Pan Am Games and Worlds and really trying to go to the Olympics. That was the big goal. And, so I'm around that environment, and that changed my mindset, or really just moved forward my mindset on what you're capable of. You just don't know any better. People tell you, you're training along these people that are having success. And so when they tell you you can too, of course you believe them, right?
Yeah.
So with that, I'm doing these meets, local meets, lifting at a national level. And then a guy who I just kind of knew, didn't really know him that well. But he had done some local meets with me, just calls me out of nowhere and says, "Hey, Danny," it's Charlie. I'm like, "Oh, what's up?" Like, I think he had to call someone else to get my number, right?
Yeah,
we're just kind of acquaintances.
Yep. Friend of a friend.
Friend of a friend, right? "What's up, man?" He said, "Well, I want to do a weightlifting meet, and I want to get every U.S. living Olympian to come together and do a weightlifting meet." So, well, Charlie, seems like a great idea. Could be fun, but I don't know how many of these Olympians but most of them are not in weightlifting meet condition at this point in their lives.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Maybe we get some out to that as an expo, but
yeah.
I said, well, you know what? This is how our relationship kind of worked with Caffeine and Kilos for a long time. Charlie would be like, "Let's go to the moon." And I was like, I'd be like, "Yeah, hell yeah, that sounds great. Do you have a rocket?" And he's like, "Oh no." I'm like, "Okay, well, that's no problem." Yeah. We got an airplane, so that'll get us partway there, right? And you just kind of, how close can we get? And so it started with this. And, so I said, well, what if instead of the Olympians, what if we just get currently the best weightlifters in the country, and maybe even some international, and have them come out and do a meet? Well, that sounds great. Like, just as good, maybe better, right? You're probably going to actually get more impressive lifts by and large and do it like that. Okay, sounds good. So I knew most of the best lifters in the country, just from, there's only so many people that lift at national championships and the American Open. And so you kind of see the same cast of people, a couple times a year. And the ones who I maybe didn't know personally, I knew someone who knew them and said, okay, well, what do we need to make that happen? Well, we need prize money and an audience, because at this time, no one really showed up to weightlifting meets. I mean, shit, man. I think 2012, I just said shit. Is that okay here?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We're 100% unfiltered.
All right. So you can bleep it out. So, national championships, I think was Skate Town, USA, in Ohio, right? And outside of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, damn.
And
All
so,
right.
yeah, it was like a whole thing. It wasn't in ballrooms this time. Always, sometimes, but not. And so I said, well, if we get an audience, because right now, like maybe your mom shows up and that's if she lives close enough. So we get like an audience and a cash prize, we can get like the best lifters out here. Sounds good. And so that was the mission. And so he got a sponsor for the cash prize. We said, okay, let's get an audience. Let's host a CrossFit style competition during the day. And they're people who know what weightlifting is. They'll be impressed by the weights. There'll be an audience at the end of the day. We can use the entry fees to pay for the venue and just kind of piece it together. And then this is one of those, the universe stars aligning things. Is I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the workouts that are going to be in the competition. We don't have a name for the event yet. Looking at the workouts and I'm thinking about the weightlifting meet. And then also in the meantime, he starts talking about, he's talking to his friend Dean, who ended up being our third business partner. And Dean had a streetwear brand on his own. He was doing like custom jean jackets for people and all this stuff.
Okay.
And he just knows what's cool apparel wise. And so they're talking about this thing like, caffeine and kilos or caffeine and kilograms, drinking coffee and lifting weights. And, because we'd go to training and we'd show up, everyone's showing up with these, giant Trenta 30-ounce iced coffees, or drinking white monsters, bring 2 of them to Max Out Friday, one before snatch, drink another one before clean and jerk, start seeing sounds, and just having a good old time.
Better than smelling salts. Still to this day.
Oh,
I
hell
do that
yeah,
over
dude.
smelling
Oh,
salts
dude, I'd
any
rip
day.
some right now.
Yeah.
So, that's what a lot of people don't know. The back room at weightlifting meets, you got the smelling salts, the coaches, one for the athlete, one for themselves, and then put the lid back on. Okay, so we're there and I'm looking at my phone. I'm looking at the workouts. And it hits me. I'm just like, it's the same idea. This is it. This event needs to be the Caffeine and Kilos Invitational. It's like lifting weights. There's the CrossFit side of things. It's like, this is what it's all about, And as I'm thinking that, all of a sudden, boom, Charlie's name pops up on my screen. My phone's ringing. Answer it. And he goes, dude, I got it. It's the Caffeine and Kilos meet.
That's how that shit works too. People don't believe it. It's exactly how it works.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, I was like, oh my God, dude. I was like, literally not to say like, I was actually that was my thought in my mind when the screen on my phone changed. I'm like, it's gotta be the Caffeine and Kilos Invitational. Like that's it. And so we did that. We start talking about it, the name of it. We get a shirt. Dean makes a shirt design that everybody loves. Charlie at the time was involved with Progenics, who was, king of the CrossFit world. Yeah. And so he knew a lot of the Progenics athletes. So we start, this is early 2013 or middle 2013, start sending out t-shirts. And we said, well, if we're going to call it the Caffeine and Kilos Invitational, we should make coffee too. So I start calling local roasters, telling them the idea. Hey, we want a coffee that has higher caffeine levels, but still tastes good. And a couple of them, whatever. The one guy is like, oh, hell yeah. He's pumped about the idea. All right, boom, there we go. We got our roaster, putting this together, sending care packages out just for fun, sending them to the athletes that are going to compete. And so then people start asking to buy the stuff. Oh, well, I guess maybe we should just sell this apparel too. So then we spin up an online store, and start selling the coffee and the shirts. And we started selling them before the meet even happened. So it all just started off. It was going to be a fun thing. We'll get the best lifters out, do this competition. And before the actual competition started, we had a store, trademarks, the whole thing, spun up and started selling online Caffeine and Kilos. Then in our first calendar year, we did over $1 million in sales.
That's insane. I don't think people, normally don't delve this deep into business because it's kind of a balanced thing. But like, I don't think people realize how often like the most successful businesses are built on just an organic idea that like spirals into what it actually becomes, right?
Yeah.
The original idea is over here and what it actually is way over here.
Yeah. Or honestly on accident.
Yeah.
Right. Like something happens and you're like, well, that's interesting. Maybe I should pursue that a little further. Right. And then, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should pursue that a little further and just kind of see where it takes you,
Yep. but it's always like just kind of a little deflection. It's not like this big epiphany. You don't like wake up and go, I have to start this apparel company that does weightlifting meets and I'm
going to start slinging coffee.
Yeah. Like it's always just a slight deflection. And then something happens that's a slight deflection again. And then.
Man, I just read this book recently that, if I can think of the title, something about Lion Tracker.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
I believe it's called the Lessons from a Lion Tracker, or the life stories of a lion tracker, or something like that. And I mean, that's basically the premise is, he's talking about this guy is legit. That's actually great. It's super interesting, but he grew up in Africa, and he went to Africa and met these people that grew up there, and, some of the native tribes and stuff. And he was a safari guide. And so these lion trackers would go out and find the lions, and then they would call the safaris, and they'd drive the Jeeps out there to show people for their tours and stuff. And so he got to know these trackers better, and he's like, teach me how to track. And it's not what you think, right? It's not as much as there's a print and there's this. It's like a lot of it's like going by feel and senses. But the whole story is, the point is that, you go to the next thing, and then from there, like you let the trail guide you. You're not forcing the trail.
Right.
Right. And it was great. And it resonated with almost all of my experiences of having success. And I've been thinking about that lately more, as far as, I think a lot of times, especially if you've had success in business before, then you assume like, okay, well, I've done this before. I know what to do. And, which is probably true, but you might have the wrong idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Meaning that, you think you might be trying to squeeze a square peg into a round hole because, I've had success before, so I can make this work.
Right.
Well, but when I look back, I have very rarely had success by making something work. Usually it's been by pursuing what is having success. And then to a certain degree, you do need to force action on some things.
Right.
But usually it's not, if something's not working, where's it deflecting to, right? Like what is working? What's an easier, what would this look like if it was easy, or just following like where the passion leads you, or where the success is going, and making things work within the context of letting the journey kind of guide itself, and just whatever is having success, leaning into that more, rather than, really just hammering one exact direction over and over again.
I think that's something that people like don't realize. And I think that's very much an operational mindset. Like have you read, what's it called? It was by Gino Wickman. It was a spinoff of his Traction series. It was about the operator. It was about the integrator and the visionary.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And I think that's something most people like. When I read that, I was like, I'm the vision. No wonder I butt heads with whoever works right below me, because I usually hire someone that's very X's and O's.
Right.
And I'm the let's go to the moon without the rocket ship part.
Yeah. And you need that, right? And that's the irony, is that I've played both roles, and I find that when I'm the integrator, I don't do as well. I found that I can do that role for abbreviated periods of time.
Right.
But once something's up and running and going well, then I need to pass it along to somebody else who can continue with it and make subtle improvements on it, and just like be consistent with it.
Yeah.
I'm real good at being consistent for about 43 days.
I'm in the same boat. I get the excitement and the thrill off the hunt. And the kill. And then when it comes to carving it and like doing all the the nitty gritty work, you got to carve it up. You got to do all these things. You got to package it. Like someone else needs to do that. But when it comes to everything else, like it's the opening, it's the thrill of the building and getting it sustainable. And then I'm like, all right, this is kind of not, entertaining me anymore.
And there's parts I like to do, like I like this side of things, right? Like the, like whatever, some content creation or but like as far as like editing something like this, oh my God, like no way. No.
6 months later, this podcast would still not be out.
It would be sitting on the hard drive. There's zero chance, now, but sitting down, recording it, doing the interview, like that type of stuff, I'm planning for it. Like that stuff's great. Like that gets me excited, but then when it's done, I want to hit stop. And then I want it to show up edited and ready to go on Google Drive 2 days later.
Yeah. I want to fuck off. And like one day it shows up and I forget that part of the conversation. Like I'm watching a reel and I'm like, oh yeah, that was fucking great. I forgot. Like I forgot we even talked about that.
Exactly. And I'll do it once. I'll go through the process once, or maybe not like the exact editing of everything, but I'll take it and, I'll run it through a software to get the transcript, have the transcript go into software to pull out ideas for clips, have the clips, look at it, make sure that's right. And then I'll tell someone do that, right? And I'll go through that once or twice because it's good to know the
Right.
process. You can teach the process. But then after I've done it 2, 3 times, like, oh, now I want to do nothing. Now I just want to give it to you and have you give it to me completed. Because otherwise I'm going to stop doing it.
Yep.
And the number one goal, is just like, it's consistency and showing
You have
up.
to enjoy the consistent stuff or it's not going to happen. And it's something I tell people all the time is, for me, it's like, they're like, oh, you've lost the passion for the gym business, because I'm not really in the gym business anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I have certain things I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about media. So I do a lot of the gym's media. I'm passionate about marketing. So I'm in behind the scenes planning a lot of our marketing and our posts and our emails and like doing all those things. I'm not passionate about operations because that's just not where my heart is and where my skill set lies. So like I've hired other people to fill those roles so they get done correctly and they get done well, far better than I could ever do them.
Yeah, there's someone that is passionate about that.
Right.
It's the back end stuff, right? The billing and the contract. And like, if someone's, bills overdue, like, man, if it's my job to like follow up on overdue bills, and someone needs their account to go on hold or someone needs whatever, these types of things, like, man, same thing. Like, I'll do a really good job with it for about a month. And then I just will not keep it up because that's just, to me, that's terrible. But we have someone on staff who loves it. Like she used to work in banking.
Oh,
and so
yeah, that's like
this is her
wheelhouse.
Straight up. It's like everything there's gray area. No, it is yes or no. It's black or white.
Paid or unpaid.
It's paid or unpaid, like whatever. And she loves it. Right. And I'm like, well, this is perfect because like someone else can do that who's going to be good at it. And then I can worry about the stuff that same thing. Actually, I love coaching classes. Like I have a lot of experience with it. I'm good at it. My formal education, I was a PE teacher for a while. I have a graduate degree in education and all this, and I'm really good at that, and I love doing it. With that being said, if I were to coach, like right now, I'm on the schedule between like 2 times a week, 2 to 4 classes a week total. If I'm on the schedule for more than that, I'll start hating it. Because I've got other stuff to do. And there's, like you mentioned, the marketing and the content piece and the direction and the vision and the growth. And like in the end, how can, if our goal as a gym is to make the biggest impact possible and help the most amount of people and have the biggest impact within those people's lives, that's not going to be me coaching every class.
No.
It's
scalability there.
That's it. Right. And so, as much as I love doing that, to your point, it's like I do that a couple times a week because I love it. And so I love doing it 2 to 4 times a week.
Yeah.
If I'm doing it more than that, then there's gonna be other things that aren't getting done. We're not gonna be growing. And then I'm gonna get frustrated with that. And then I'm gonna be in class thinking about these other things I should be doing. And then I'm going to end up being bad at it.
Right. Because you're sitting there in a resentment.
Yeah.
About everything. Now you resent coaching and you resent the gym and you resent and it's just a snowball effect of negativity. And it's like, I personally believe every business owner, eventually you start as the jack of all trades and then you become an expert of 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
And if you're in business long enough, you eventually find where your real passion is. And that's where you spin off.
Yeah. And
effort.
That's exactly it, right? And it comes down to I had this business coach who would talk a lot about not high value skills, what do you call them? Like high income skills, right? And, it's that simple fact is like somebody in the business needs to be developing and working on these high income skills or the business is going to plateau, right? And, they are, copywriting, speaking, leadership. Like those are pretty much, those are it, those 3 things. And so if no one in the business is getting better at one or all of, and you don't have to be great at all of them, but you need to be fantastic at one or pretty good at all 3.
Yep.
And if no one else in the business is pursuing those 3 areas, then you're going to plateau pretty early. And that's the only way for the business to grow more and to impact more people is somebody needs to be pursuing, some sort of because they all come down to marketing is a big part of it, right? So he's pursuing those things, either, writing, speaking, or leadership.
Yeah, it's really crucial. And it's really crucial to realize, like, as someone on the outside looking in, that those are also the most expensive jobs to fill from the outside.
Right.
So like they, as the owner, that's the highest impact place you can bring, because you might pay yourself really well, but to hire someone that's in a leadership, like a leadership
Yeah.
expert, or to hire a marketing expert or a copywriter, they are not cheap people to find.
Yeah, bringing in like a manager who's an experienced manager
Right.
who's really good at that is going to be a lot more expensive than hiring another coach.
Yep.
So if you can step in and fill that role, then that's going to be a big difference.
Right. I hire all my managers from within, and I train them, and I build them
Exactly.
up. Right. And so it's a whole different thing than I had to go out and hire a 10-year experienced
Oh,
gym manager. I mean, that's $150,000 a year probably at this point.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's like most gyms cannot sustain on something like that. So it's
No,
like
not
you
if,
have to develop these skills
yeah,
yourself.
not if you want to stay in business.
Not here.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me more about like the other things you're doing. I know you've pursued a lot of different fitness stuff. You've done the weightlifting. Recently it was like was it a 50-mile bike ride? What was it?
Yeah,
Around Lake Tahoe?
73.
73.
Yeah, so I haven't historically been an endurance athlete, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I think that I've ran like 10 miles one time. I don't know. But that hasn't really been my passion. It's been even in school, like I did play soccer, quite a bit of running there, but wrestling was really my best sport,
Yeah,
and
that's
actually
very
quite a bit of
short
running and
burst.
wrestling too, as
Yeah.
far as that goes in the training. But yeah, man. Anyway, but yeah, and then weightlifting. So everything's generally been like more higher intensity, shorter bursts, more sprinty, springy type
Yeah.
stuff. Well, I love Tahoe. I like being outside. I like doing stuff. I like challenges. I've driven around the lake dozens of times. One of my friends mentioned, he said that he was getting ready to go do, it's called America's Most Beautiful Bike Ride. And it's a fundraiser for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And it's a ride around Lake Tahoe, and it's 73 miles, right? Something like that. And anyway, I thought, oh man, that sounds like a blast. Like I would love to do that. And he's like, well, you could do it. I don't know, man. Like I got a beach cruiser. That's not really so, like I ride my beach cruiser, with my wife, go to dinner, sometimes in the summer, like date night, like ride our bikes to the wine bar, yeah. And anyway, he's like, not really. It's like if you train for it, like honestly, and you're in pretty good shape. And I know it's different shape, but like you're in pretty good shape. If you just get some time in the saddle, 8 weeks leading up to it, go on a couple longer rides, you'll be fine. All right, let's see it. This sounds like a blast. Good to do a different challenge. I like doing different challenges and different. Yeah. Every year I try to have some sort of adventure going on. And I thought, okay, this can be my adventure for next year. So I bought a old road bike on Facebook Marketplace, because these things are expensive, man. Like for buying a road bike, it's going to be a couple $1,000 for like an entry level type of bike. So I bought an old road bike on Facebook Marketplace, and then I said, okay, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do all the work on it myself, because I want to learn. Like I could change a tire, but like I don't know how to. I've never like changed the derailleurs or like the cables and the shift levers and like that type of stuff, right? But I know it's not super complicated. So got this old bike, and then over the year just kind of fixed it up. Like once a month I would replace something on it, and then I'd maybe ride it once or twice, just kind of a couple miles around town, and like, oh, and then what's the next? Oh, interesting. It's not shifting into that bottom gear, and then figure out why, and then fix that thing. It's over the course of a year. I fixed this bike up. So it has basically all new components on it.
Yeah.
Changed out basically everything but the frame. I mean, but at this point now, by the time the ride happened, I'd even changed the wheels and the rims, or the tires, and the wheels. And then everything, like all the cables, chain, everything on it. Brakes, levers. And so, and then as part of that, I signed up with a local group that does the ride, and it's called Team in Training. And so Team in Training, they actually teach you how to do these things. So it was like going to cycling school. And so every Saturday they would host long rides. The first couple were like 10 miles and 20. And then all of a sudden it's 42 and 60. And so one time I showed up, it was like the second time I went like 10 miles, and I missed the 20 week, missed the 30 week. I was like, shit, dude, if I don't go. So I showed up, and it was like 42 miles, and it involved like 2,400 feet of climbing, and I was fine. I thought, okay, I can do this,
Yep.
And so finished out the training for it and then went and did the ride. And it was a blast, man. It was so much fun. 73 miles around Lake Tahoe. It's at elevation, 6,500 feet. Has, I think, 3,500 or 4,500, 4,500, I think, feet of climbing in it. And dude, it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to do it again next year, but I'm going to do the 100-mile option. So they have one where it goes off to it's out and back to Truckee. And so I'm signed up for that. So next year it'll be 100, get a century done. And then we'll see. Most proud at the end, I was proud my bike held up. Like I was pretty confident. My body so far is put up to any of the abuse I've asked it to endure. But I was glad that the bike held up the entire time too,
carrying around. I built this shit.
Yeah.
I built this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Thank God for ChatGPT and YouTube.
I was gonna say, was your YouTube algorithm just all like Tour de France and like Lance Armstrong's documentaries and shit? Because all it saw was you trying to build this bike.
I'll tell you that's key. I've done this for cooking too. Is like you have something you want to do, and then I would look up a YouTube video. I'd watch the video once.
Yep.
Then I would open ChatGPT and go to the voice one. All right, because your hands are gonna be all greasy. It would go to the voice one, and then it just stays open, and then you just talk to it. And you just have a conversation. You're like, oh man, do I turn this to the left or the right? It's like, oh, if you're talking about this, then and so it's like having an expert right there in the room with you.
Insane.
And so watch the video once so you get the visual.
Right.
And then after that, just all by voice. And like ChatGPT walked me through like fixing everything on there.
That's how I learned how to barbecue. I learned how to smoke meats in like 2020 on YouTube. I watch meat church videos. And then I would just do it.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't have ChatGPT to talk to be like, should I pull this now? This is what it looks like. I just kind of had to learn, but like I learned and built an entire barbecue side hustle off of YouTube.
Yeah.
And like, the problem was like the algorithm was all barbecue. Like I could not escape the vortex of like, here's how to cook a brisket. Here's how to do that. And I'm like, I already know how to do that. Like now I want to learn something new, but it took me like 6 months to get out of the vortex of like, is it to watch random videos like every day to just make it start kind of like going away.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's so funny. That's exactly how it goes though.
Oh yeah. No, you just become like YouTube and like you said, YouTube and now ChatGPT, you can become an expert pretty much anything. I'm designing a new home through ChatGPT. Me and Bob, ChatGPT's name.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Bob's designing my home. Like, hey Bob, this is our flooring. What should we do for this furniture? Oh, you should go to this company. Like, we're looking at these companies. And then it's like, here's a list of links of different things. I'm like, thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's clutch.
Yeah.
I think the people run into problems and they rely on it too much within the things I think that's maybe it'll get there eventually. It probably will. But right now it's, when you use it, I use it for marketing stuff and things like that all the time. Yeah. But right now it's a sounding board primarily.
Yep.
Right. And so it's like, hey, I want to do this. Here's what I'm thinking. And then it tells you, what do you think? And then it tells you, I'm like, and then, okay, like what of the feedback it gave me do I find valuable, whatever. It's like, okay, let's lean into these things a little bit more. Don't worry about that. And
you got to get pretty close there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I told my wife too. Cause she's like, well, just ask it. I'm like, I did, but like, I need more information. Like, how big's the room? What color is it? What do you want? Like, give me more. Cause like, then we'll get it'll do a more accurate web search.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, and then we still need to cherry pick like certain things we like and then go, okay, I like this, but find me more of that. Right. So I do a lot of like web searches now on there to like, hey, I want a travertine table. Find me 11 different variations of it. So I have some options to choose from.
And then from that, it'll give you options. Then you can you notice that you look at those options, like, oh, some of the words in the descriptions of these things, I would have never thought to search myself. And then you can search those yourself, find your own set of ones you like, and then, compare and contrast all that. Yeah.
And then Facebook ads takes over from there. And like that's all you see in your ads. And then it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, that's it. All right, algorithm, I'm here.
Yeah.
Feed it to me.
Like random company that like I knew existed, but never thought to look at, had the table we wanted. So I was like, there you go. Thanks, Facebook and ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So like, tell me, how do you balance all this? Because like people are going to be like, that's cool. You own a business. You can decide your own schedule. But I mean, essentially, yes and no. Like you've kind of earned your way into that position. But maybe for someone a little earlier in business at this point.
Yeah,
and
sure.
They're like, my fitness is falling apart. Mine did. I'm still climbing back out of that mess. What how would you structure a day? Say you're a couple years in, maybe they're a gym owner and they're like, I was super fit. Now I'm definitely not.
Well, a couple things on this. First of all, my grandfather owned a business, and I remember people would say, "Hey, it's great. You can make your own schedule." And he said, "That's right. And not only that, you only have to work half days. As a business owner, you can pick whatever 12 hours a day you want
Yeah.
and work those." And I think about that a lot when this comes up. Now, with that being said, I don't work 12-hour days anymore, or not very often anyway. So again, I hired a business coach. This is something I've done time and time again. When I need something, I look for people. I'm like, okay, where is a person, a team, something that helped me? Earlier, talking about weightlifting. When I started, I went to a clinic at this gym, and then some of the people there thought I had some potential. So I started training with this team there was a coach and a team. And that's what got me to the success I had in weightlifting. With the cycling, same thing. I said, okay, let's do this. And the guy who first told me about it, I knew he would kind of help me, but I also knew that he had some, his own life and stuff going on. So I found this team in training. Oh, here's a team that has a coach, and they help you, guide you through it. Right. So in business, when we started Caffeine and Kilos, I had the gym, but I was also still working as a teacher. I was teaching PE. And I had 2 other business partners in the gym. And so between the 3 of us, and we had some coaches, and that was fine. But then once this happened, it was like I was working before going to school, and I was teaching all day. And then after school, I was, we had a brand new baby, and the baby goes to bed, and then I would work some more at night, and it just wasn't sustainable, So I quit teaching, and then I was like, oh man, I better figure out what I'm doing. So I hired a business coach, and he helped me a ton. So Craig Ballantyne, shout out Craig Ballantyne. So Perfect Day Formula was his book. I'd actually read his book. I was at an event. I was speaking at this event, and the guy who's putting on the event was friends with Craig. He introduced us. I was like, hey, nice to meet you. I've actually read your book, right? And then we started working together. I hired him. And I would really recommend people, Perfect Day Formula is good, but later he wrote this book, Perfect Week Formula. And he said himself, this is the book that wish he would have written the first time, right?
Yep. It's always like that, the hindsight.
Yep. And you learn more. And anyway, so, and that's why I really believe in this, and this is how I structure my life now, structure my days. So the first thing is, a lot of people, they have all their work they need to do, and then they try to fit in everything else around it. So I'm going to do this work, and then, I'll squeeze in when I go to the gym, I'll squeeze in, time with my family, I'll squeeze in, these different things. The truth is that's never going to happen, right? Because if you're really trying to build something, you're trying to build a business, you're pursuing something, you're going to be in that. Oh, that's going to be what you're focused on. And, once you're in there full lizard brain working on whatever you're going on, getting out of that is challenging. So what Craig recommends, and I do too as well, is when you first start off is you put in those other things first. So the first thing you look at when you look at your schedule is, where is my family time going to be? All right. Number one priority. Well, for me, my number one priority has always been that we're going to eat dinner together as a family every night that's reasonable,
Right.
As long as there's not like some sports going on, some other thing, right? But it's not my fault.
Yeah.
I am not going to be the reason why we're not eating dinner together as a family. So we eat early because my wife's a nurse and she was working nights. And so she'd leave to go to work at 6 a lot of times. And so we would, so between 5 and 5:30, we're eating dinner. And so I'll be home and not working from 4:45 or 5 o'clock essentially until, 6 o'clock. Like that is just blocked out. I'm not scheduling anything. Like I will be nowhere between 5 and 6 p.m. except for at home.
Yeah.
Every day. So there's that. Then you can look back and say, okay, another thing for me is, my kids go to school at 8. And so they get up at 7. And so from 7 in the morning until 8 in the morning, like I want to be not working, I want to be home and available if at all possible. So I can help them, get ready for school, take them to school if I need to. Okay. So now I got those times. So now I got the other, 22 hours a day. You got to sleep at some point. So you should probably block that in. And then I say, okay. And then, working out, staying healthy, training, that's important. So you decide that if it's going to be 3 days a week, great. If it's going to be 5 days a week, whatever, just plug it in the schedule. And so you put that in your schedule. So now you're looking at your calendar, and also maybe if you want to do a date night, something like that, some for your wife.
You got some other things. You got people you got to take care of in your ecosystem.
Exactly. Funny, hobbies. You know, you may think it's not important, but man, if you're not doing anything for yourself, then you're going to get burnt out and frustrated quick. And so maybe if you love golfing, well, maybe going out and playing, 18 holes 3 days a week isn't going to work in your schedule. But I bet you can go play 9 on Saturday morning. Maybe you can put, or Thursday, whatever, piece off 2 hours somewhere, right? And so that's all it needs to be, just something small. I've been going to the climbing gym lately. That's been kind of my hobby, it's funny. It's like a workout, but it's not, it's like, it's a hobby. It's highly technical. And so it's like, all right, about 2 to 3 days a week, I get in, go climbing. So then you zoom out of your schedule and you've got, these different holes in there between these activities, right? So you take that, you can put that off to the side. Then you take, you need to make a list of during the week or on the weekend, whatever, Sunday afternoon or something like that, of your to-do list. What are everything that I know I want to get done, my to-do, right? And you make that whole list, and then you put in priority order. So you got your priority order, and then you just plug them in your calendar. So you sit there and say, okay, my number one thing of everything I need to do this week, where does that fit into this week? And then you schedule it in. And so then you schedule in all of that work in that schedule around the framework that you set. Right. So instead of working all the time and trying to fit in family stuff and your personal stuff around that, you need to do the other direction. You first need to plug in time with your family, time for some self-care, exercise, right? And then you plug in your work priorities around that. And then if whatever doesn't fit, if your schedule's full, then it's full. And anything else that's on that list still that didn't make it in your schedule, it's not getting done this week.
Yep.
Right? Or if you finish something, you got a little extra time, you can maybe try and get them in, whatever, right? And then if it's on that list for, say, 3 weeks in a row and you haven't got to it, it's never cracked the top 20, whatever, then you take it off the list. It doesn't need to be done.
Yep.
So one little other extra little piece of this is I'm still a big advocate of not getting up and working out first thing in the morning, getting up and working first thing in the morning. And so the most creativity you're going to have all day, the time where no one's contacting you, no one's trying to call you, you have the most freedom is that first, couple hours a day. And so I get up at 5 a.m. and I start working immediately. And so I work from 5:20. By the time I get up, go to the bathroom, make some coffee, right? So
I was gonna shout out coffee.
Yeah, that's it. 5:20 until 7 o'clock when the kids get up. Like I work that block every single day. And during that time, I do what's my most important task for the entire day. Right? Because again, no one's trying to interrupt you, whatever. And then I always get that done. So if nothing else happens that day, I got that, if something, some wrench gets thrown in the system, some fire starts, you got to put out whatever, like that one task is done. Most important things, something that drives things forward is done first thing of the day. So that's how I work it. Again, there's that morning block. And then at 7, the kids get up, deal with that, get them off to school. Then I go to the gym, do the 8:30 class, done at 9:30, and then back to work, a couple hours before lunch. So, by the time it's lunchtime, I mean, I've worked 4 or 5 hours. I just did it in a couple different blocks,
I love that because I started doing that naturally when I was losing weight. When I lost the first 100 pounds back in 2022, I started that.
Yeah.
I would get up and I would do 30, 40 minutes on the treadmill just because it would get my brain firing for creative work. And then I would write because my brain would just be on fire.
Also, if losing weight is your number one goal, then that is your biggest priority.
Right.
Right? Like that's when should you be working out first thing in the morning? Well, if your goals related to exercise are your number one priority in your life, then that's when I was training for the Tahoe ride. 3 days a week, I got on my bike on the trainer in the garage just for a 30-minute session. But I did that first thing. I got up, I went straight out the garage, put in 30 minutes on the bike, and then I got to work, right? Because that was my number one priority. That was the thing that I could not miss that day. If everything else burned down like that, because, I was going to be on that bike going around the lake on that date, right? And so there are times where maybe the exercise or whatever does fit in that block.
Yeah. And if you're really looking for a tip for that, if you're losing weight and you need extra help motivating yourself to do that, highly recommend setting the coffee maker to not even start until 30, 40 minutes after your wake up time. That way you're I can't have my coffee until I've done this. And that's how I did it for like a year straight. I had to do minimum of 30 minutes on the treadmill, just walking, just kind of getting my brain woken up. Then I could have coffee, sit down, work. till my son wakes up. And when the minute my son's up,
Then,
yeah,
yep.
laptop's closed until he goes to school.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's great. That's so clutch. I think that's the piece a lot of people miss is they either, they're up working late and then they don't get up in time, or they get up, then they get up and their kids are up, and then you wake up and everything's kind of hectic, or you wake up half an hour before your kids, and then it's like you wake and you're just trying to get a cup of coffee before they get up.
Yep.
And then there's so much time for stuff to go wrong, and then your kid's sick and they're staying home from school that day. And then over the course of the day, you end up getting, an hour of work done total because you're taking care of them and doing these different things. Whereas like if you get up, 2 hours before your kids are up, you got that block of time where you got something done.
Right. And that was my thing for a long time. But that little psycho is a 5 a.m. wake up. So like he and I are up at the same time.
Yeah.
We will watch WWE reruns or whatever. And we just spend quality time together. That's my morning routine right now. Cause I know eventually he's 7.
Oh yeah.
8 or 9. He's going to be, we're going to be dragging his ass out of bed to get ready for school. So it's like, I'm going to enjoy it while I can. And then when that happens, 5 a.m. will be work time until I have to go literally pick him up by his collar.
It's funny. My wife I mentioned she's a nurse, and it's like when she's on days now, but she's on nights. It's like sleep is the most precious thing, in the world for them. So it was like, nope. If they came out before 7, she'd be like, nope, no. It's like point right back. Nope, not yet. Like back, it's not 7. And she, even when our kids were younger and didn't understand the clocks as well, got digital clocks. And we put tape over the minutes so they could only see the one number, just the hours. It's like, when that says 7, you can come out. If that's not a 7, don't leave your room. Like, go to the bathroom, back in there. That's it.
Yep.
And I kind of trained them, and it's funny. And so now it's like they're pretty good. Even if they're up earlier, like, yes, now they're getting a little older. They're, 8 and 12. If it's whatever, 6, they'll come out. But they know, like, they're not really like to talk to us. Like if they're up before 7, then they're on their own, right?
Now there's days he beats me up and I'll walk out and he's just sitting there watching wrestling and like entertaining himself. Dude, and I'm like,
bowl of Cheetos.
Great, dude. Yeah, do your thing.
His underwear's all orange.
Oh yeah. I'm like, his hands are just destroyed. I was like, what happened? Why are your sweats covered? Like, why is it like you finger painted? Yeah. And it's like, it's the chips. I mean, he's just doing this while he's watching TV. And I'm like, bro, please stop.
Yeah, it looks like Castaway.
Oh yeah, almost every day, or like in the car on long drives.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
He gets out of the car and I'm like, "You had chips, didn't you?"
Yeah.
I didn't realize you had them back there.
Oh, dude, that's the funny family routine, man. It's like if we're gonna be driving, if it's half hour, whatever. If it's longer than call it 45 minutes, then it's like before we leave, it's like boom, pull into the gas station convenience store. All right, everyone gets a snack.
Yep.
Right. And then like we'll grab a coffee or, a diet soda or something like that. And it's like, all right. And that's it. And then they know it's like, okay, now then just like occupies them, makes it go by so much better. Or like long trips, driving down to LA or something. It's like, all right, about every 90 minutes, like they're pretty good. But 90 minutes, 2 hours, then you go to the bathroom. It's like, well, so shit, I'm ready to get, so do I. I'm ready to get out by then.
And we bought a house up in Granite Bay. So we've been making a lot of long trips up there. And it's about 90 minutes, an hour and 45. And so, like, he's pretty conditioned to that, but 100% looks like he was in a kindergarten finger painting class when he gets out of the car because his pants are just covered in whatever he's been eating. But yeah, we did the same thing. Stop for snacks right away. Gas, snacks, bathroom.
Oh, dude.
Lock in.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, we're all going to be struggling. But if there's any traffic, buddy, we're all going to be struggling. But if we're like 20 minutes away, lock in like we're not.
Yep.
We're not pulling over.
Yeah, for sure.
So I get it, man. It's, and I love what you're saying about the priorities.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks money has to be the priority, and it is, but they think of it backwards. They think of it as, responding in emails where the money's at, when in reality, the money is in your development. Because the higher your ceiling is, the more you can pull everybody else up with you and make higher value staff and make higher value teams.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, back to the family stuff with that same note and with the teams. For what? Right? Like, I couldn't imagine, right? And you hear this about people all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't imagine, being 60 years old and then whatever, maybe you're rich, sounds great. But then not having spent that time with your kids and now they're gone. And it's like, I see it now, right? Like I'm 40. I still feel pretty good, but like my kids, again, they're 8 and 12. And everyone says it goes by fast, like, but it does, you know? And, you know, something like what by the time your kids are 12 years old, they've spent 50% of the time they're going to spend with you for their entire lives.
Yep.
Right. And, you know, I think of that type of thing. And, you know, it's like that is a priority. Like, no, I want to make sure I'm home for dinner. I want to be at every one of my daughter's, you know, volleyball games, right? I want to, if there's an assembly and they're going to win some, you know, little character award that whatever, like I want to be there for that, right? Like that stuff's important. And so, you know, again, like talk about success and the money and whatever. It's like, yeah, absolutely. You want to be able to take care of your family. And I'm all for it, dude. Make as much money as you possibly can. However, like at what expense, you know? And I know myself, I made the decision a long time ago, you know, is that while these kids are young and at home, like that's the priority, you know, and I'll make as much money as I can or whatever around that.
Right. Within the boundaries of being a dad first.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that I'm never going to go anywhere or whatever with Caffeine and Kilos. Like it wasn't a ton, but it was, you know, 10 times a year minimum. Some days it was for, you know, little 24-hour out and back. Some days it was for 10 days or some trips for 10 days, whatever. But, you know, about every 6 weeks I was going somewhere for a few days, and that's fine. That's different. You know, you're going off this thing and you're coming back. But then when you're home, you should be home.
You should be,
you know,
very present.
Yeah, that's right. While you're home, be present. If you're going to go on trips for work, go on the trips, right? However, also made the decision that that was kind of the limit, right? Like, you know, being gone for, you know, 3 days once a month, not a big deal. Being gone for 3 days every single week, like I'm not willing to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And if that means that I leave some money on the table here and there because of that, that's fine. You know, because there'll be those opportunities later. I'm not worried about that. You know, the one thing that is absolutely certain is like these kids will only be this age right now. That's it. That's it. And, yeah, thinking about down the road when they're not around. Oh man, could you imagine the regret of looking back and be like, oh, I didn't spend time with them while they're here and now they're gone and I want to hang out with them and it's not an option. Or even when they get to high school, you know, like the older they get, they're going to want to spend more time with their friends and, you know, off of school and sports. Like talk about my daughter's in 7th grade playing sports for the school. Yeah. So after school, she got practice every day, you know? So it's like, and I know I played sports all through high school, every season, whatever. I was never home before 5:30, 6 o'clock, right? Because like after school, you got practice and you're back. Yeah. Minimum. Right. And it's like, that's what's coming. And so I don't want to be in that situation. Be like, oh yeah, that opportunity I had is now gone. And that's not coming back.
I was just having that conversation with somebody. I pick my son up probably 4 days a week, if not more, as much as I can. And I'm like, guys, this is limited. Like by the time he's out of 6th grade, he hits middle school, he'll probably have practices. Like right now he plays one sport at a time. There's going to be times where he's going to be overlapping sports as he gets older. And like,
dude, that's my life right now. Yeah.
Right. There's going to be no more school pickup. It's going to be, he gets off of practice and comes home.
Yeah.
Or we pick him up at, 7 PM from this field. And it's like, then it's like, all right, rush.
Yeah.
Right. There's no quality time during the week.
Oh yeah, totally. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So I feel the same way. I'm like, tomorrow he's got a pumpkin patch thing tomorrow. And he's like, can you both be there? I was like, no problem. Immediately went in and blocked the day. Like done.
Yep. That's it. Yeah. If there's a field trip, you know, whatever, if I'm in town, I'll go.
Yep. 100%. Like you don't have to ask me twice. Like volunteer right here. I'll be there.
Especially while you want me to be there. Yeah. That day may be fading too, you know?
Oh man. I know it is. I know it's coming. I don't know when, but like all things, it will come to an end.
These little idiots, they don't know how cool you are.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
one day they will.
Yeah.
When they're like 30 and they're dealing with their own shit and they're like, God, how did he handle all this?
Yeah. And you tell them, it's like, I did it. I struggled. That's how.
Yeah. I fucked up too. And I just figured it out. Like I just hit it really well because you were too busy watching fucking John Cena to notice that I was like over in the corner pulling my hair out.
Yeah. So remember when that night you couldn't sleep? And so I went in there and apologized for earlier in the day when I was.
Oh yeah. Had one of those over the weekend. 100%.
That's not the worst. Like something's going on and like they do something wrong and like whatever. And you go over and then like I feel like really I got in there a little too much. And anyway, and then she's in bed. And then I was like, I should have handled that differently.
Yep. I gotta say something or I'm never sleeping.
And then it's like, I'm not gonna wake her up. But then like, all of a sudden she comes out for, you hear her go to the bathroom. You're like, oh, now's my window,
Run over. Like, oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
Oh.
Do you mind if I just, let me tell you something real quick before you go back to bed. They'll go, what?
Yeah. And then you're like, I shouldn't have, I got my point across. I should have just stopped. Sorry. I, went a little too far, I think.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. Turns out she was fine.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so I'm the only one worried about this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel better now. So that's good.
I didn't leave permanent damage.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah. I'll still tell her, she probably already suppressed it. You know what I mean? In 15 years, she'll tell a therapist.
Oh yeah. Guaranteed. So tell me more about your book.
Yeah. So Win Your Next Hour.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun, man. Again, it was fun to write. The whole process of it was really interesting. I mentioned I kind of like challenges, like doing different stuff. And how it all came about. It is funny. For years, I actually think I said out loud, like, I'm not going to write a book, type thing. Then, through Caffeine and Kilos and traveling around the country, a lot of times it was for different events that we were, had booths at or competing in weightlifting. And the people you met through that, it was incredible. We sponsored Morgan King, who went and lifted in the 2016 Olympics down in Brazil. In 2020 and 2024, Wes Kitts, who was one of my teammates at Cal Strength, and then we sponsored him as well. He competed in the Olympics in 2020 in Tokyo, and then in 24 in Paris. Through that, we're having a booth at the CrossFit Games, and Alexei Tarakty, who's a 2012 Olympic gold medalist, and his coach, Sergei Putsov from the Ukraine. They were in town and wanted a place to stay, and we were renting a house for the CrossFit Games because we had a staff of, 9 people staying with us. So they stayed with us. I met a friend who, built and sold a company for $1.6 billion. I know another guy who started from absolutely nothing. His companies do $200 million annually. And so I'm spending time around these different people who are ultra high achievers by anyone's standards. And I start to realize they all kind of say the same things and think the same way. And one, they're not any different than you or me or anybody else, but they do have a few things figured out, right? And it's not like it's this other species. It's the same. It's just a person, but they just think a little differently. They just do things just a little differently. Mindset's slightly altered. So I started thinking about different people, and most of my, friends outside of the industry and everything, or people, it's like they probably have never even met an Olympian. Whereas I spent 2 weeks in a house with the gold medalist and his coach. It's like I'm just teammates with a 2-time Olympian. He's a friend of mine. A friend of mine who has his business does about $100 million a year, starting nothing. He'll just call me every couple months. Hey, what's going on? How's it going? Need help? What's your biggest challenge right now? Just talking. And it's like, man, the things, the way to success, the way these people have all had success, it's not all this theory. Like there's a blueprint, there's a system,
right?
It's like, there is very simple steps that you can follow to accomplish what you're trying to do. And I look back at my own life and the things that I've had success with, and all these dots connected. It's like all these traits and all these things I've seen in these ultra high achievers, I've also witnessed in my own life in the various successes I've had. Whether that's, winning gold medal at the Masters World Cup for weightlifting, or if it's riding my bike around Tahoe, if it's these different things. I mean, writing the book. It's funny. I followed my own system when I wrote the book about the system, on accident. I didn't even really notice it until I was doing it.
Yeah.
And so, okay, let's put all this together, write the book for it, and give this process that anyone can follow. And yeah, it was funny. And so I, got some calls to people, did lots of interviews. There's a lot of stories that are that fit into that's kind of the format of the book. Is there's, here's a story about something that involved people, sometimes myself, sometimes others, and then the lesson from it, and then here's how you can apply that lesson to yourself, and here's a couple other examples of how other people have done it, and then at the end of every chapter is, okay, now do this. So it's not theory, it's a blueprint, it's a framework that anyone can follow and have success with.
I love the idea, because I wrote my first book and I put the lessons at the very beginning. I wanted them to learn how to read through the lines of, like, in the worst situation stories that I've been through, some horrible stuff.
Yeah.
what's the lesson? There's always
Sure.
something to be learned, even in a horrible situation. And I
Yeah.
wanted them to be able to see, here's the lessons. Now here's the story,
Sure.
and start seeing those lessons as it happens. So you
Right.
can start doing that in your own life. Like you can be in the trenches and go, all right, whoa. Before I like just melt down here, what can I learn? And start like learning how to see through this of like, there's something I can gain from this. It's not
Right.
just a total loss.
Oh, absolutely. And that's it's funny that exact thing. That's when I started. Well, kind of before the book, I talk about those high income skills. I thought I want to get better at writing, and so we at Caffeine and Kilos we had a customer service representative, Mariel, and she actually is a very talented writer. She'd ghostwritten a couple books. Her parents, both English professors. Like this lady understands,
Yeah.
well written stuff. So I started just writing an email. I'm going to send out a weekly newsletter, right? And really it was just an excuse to force me to do homework and to send out this. If I say I'm going to send out an email every week, then I'm going to do it every week.
Right.
I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. And so I would write this in the mornings, and then I would email it to her and to grade my paper, basically. So write a 500-word, essays essentially. And they were that exact thing. They were essentially, it's funny. Like, what am I going to write about every week? And then just knowing that you're going to write it every week, dude, my list of topics, I didn't get to them all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By the time Wednesday morning came around, I was going to write the email. I had 4 topics from the last week. And then, okay, we'll use one of these next week. By the time the next Wednesday, I had another 3 or 4.
Yep.
The good news is that I fuck up a lot. And so I had a never ending list of topics of lessons that I was, I was constantly learning. Had this, try to avoid that,
Yep.
But that's what they were. It was like, I'd be in some situation with the kids or not, or whatever. And I was like, oh man, this almost went bad, or it did go bad, or I reacted in this way and it would have been better if this thing happened or whatever. And that was really it. It was like, hey, here's some story, the kind of funny thing that happened to me that was a total catastrophe or could have been. And here's the takeaway from it.
Do you feel like that helped you again with efficiency? Like when you started to write the book, like now your words per minute were efficient, so you were able to get more done in the blocks you had to write?
Yeah, for sure. So I would write those and I would send them to Mariel. She would grade my papers. And at first, the first couple months, it was a lot of grammatical stuff, right? Wrong punctuation, that type of thing. And then, which is funny, like, I don't know, man, I got pretty good grades in school. Anyway.
Yeah, it's always a clusterfuck when you start learning that stuff and they were like really digging in. You're like,
dude,
seriously?
I was in AP English. Like,
Yeah.
what? Anyway, so she would like grade my paper. So start off that. And then I have a buddy, Jeff Lund, who's written a couple books. He's an English teacher, outdoorsman, lives in Alaska, written a couple books. And so then about once every 2 months, I would send one to him. I would try not to too frequently because that was like his actual job. This guy reads enough shitty essays from kids. He doesn't need to read shitty essays from adults all the time also. He was happy to help, but I would try to pick my spots. So yeah, once every 3 months, I'd send something off to him and get like a deep dive on it. Every week I'd send to her. She'd grade it. Well, after a couple months, they started turning into less grammar stuff and more bigger picture thing, more theme, more, tying the whole picture together. And so that's when I realized, okay, yeah, I'm getting better at this. Feel like I'm getting a handle on it. So when it was time to write the book, I was working with this publisher and I met with an editor every Friday morning. And so my pace was I was supposed to have 2,500 words every week. And so I said, okay, that's fine. And so every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, I wrote 800 words. Right. That's what I did in that block of morning time because that was the non-negotiable. Like if nothing else gets done this day, I will have this done. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the most important because I had deadlines and time. And so 800 words, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 2,400 words, right in that area. Send it to them on Wednesday, 10 a.m. as soon as I was done. Meet with them on Friday morning. They'd gone over it, make any adjustments, things like that. And I just did that week after week. And so for sure that year of writing every, 1 day a week, but every single week churning out an article for 50 weeks straight made a huge impact because then I just did that instead of doing it once a week. I started doing it 3 days a week and just keeping that consistency there.
I think that's good for the brain too, right? Because I tell people all the time, I've always kind of enjoyed endurance. I may not look like an endurance guy, but I mentally up here enjoy that kind of struggle and that challenge. So for me, they're always like, how did you do that? As a big guy, how did you go out and do a half marathon? How did you go? And
Right.
I was like, I didn't start there. Let's just like, even if you're fit,
Sure.
if you haven't run a 5K, do that first and see where your brain's at. Because if you
Yeah.
try to just jump into a half marathon, it's not your body's probably going to give out. It's
Yeah.
going to, your brain's going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
this is too long. You've got much time to think. Your brain's going to take over, and it's a much more powerful muscle
Yeah.
than your body. And it's going to be like survival. No,
Yeah.
like injury, this, that. It's going to do something to derail you. So like, I think it's important that we build those muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, so that way, when you're up to 800 words 3 days a week, it's not like, holy shit, this is way out of my range. Your band snaps in a few weeks because you're
Right.
like trying to go from 0 to hero.
Yeah, you're on week 3, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I mean, if you're trying to get out 50,000 words, right, then we're talking, okay, that's 20 weeks in a row
Yep.
that you've got to churn out 2,500 words a week. And so that, it definitely becomes a challenge.
Yeah. So like build the muscle, right? Like start with something smaller and build the volume until, a half marathon is challenging, but like your brain is like, okay, yeah, we've been to 10 miles. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we can figure out this last 3. We can gut it out.
And that was a challenge, but that was fine. Man, the editing was the worst. And then it's like, then after that, it's like it's like you read through the entire thing and, chapter by chapter, just pick it apart.
Yeah.
You're rewriting portions, cutting things out. And then it's like, well, I'm going to cut all the things out. Like my book's gonna be like 7 pages. And, it's like,
Do you feel like the editing was hard because it's like someone else basically telling you, it almost feels like they're telling you this is dog shit?
No, I don't mind being bad at stuff
Maybe it's just my editor.
if I'm new at it or whatever. There are things where I'm like, man, I really like that sentence,
Yeah.
but then I know it's like, murder your darlings, that whole thing. It was more of a, as I mentioned earlier, normally it's like after 43 days, I'm ready for the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just wrote this whole thing. And then you go through a first round of edits. And the first round you go through is mostly copy edits, right? Like fixing the grammar and putting like thematically a little bit, but mostly more of like, and it's like, and then structure. And then you go through it again. And then it's like more involved in the structure of things. And like the grammar stuff should be pretty much done at that point.
Right.
Now you're really working on and you go through that. And it's like, man, I wrote this entire thing. I've read through every chapter 3 times and rewritten them. And now I'm going through it again, and it's like, that was originally tough. Like I was just done. I'm just over it.
Yep.
Like I'm just over it.
Yeah. It's you're like, you set out to do this thing. You're like, 3 months, I'll be done. Like I'll write it. And then you're like, oh no, behind door number 1 is edits. And then behind door number 2 is rewrites. And then behind door number 3 is marketing. And you're like,
yeah.
Can I just skip to door number 3? Can
Yeah.
you guys just handle all that and like let me know when door number 3 is ready to open?
Man.
I can put me in my wheelhouse.
That was one thing that was nice is after the writing and the first kind of round of edits, then we took a break from it a little bit and did the pre-launch, pre-sales, and went all in on that for about 2 to 3 months.
Yep.
And then went back and finished up the editing. So it was nice to have that little break. And then the pressure's kind of on though, because you're like, oh man, okay, I just sold, 1,000 copies of this thing. To like basically everyone who loves me just bought at least 1 copy of this.
Yep.
It better be good. And then you're back. And so then you're fighting this thing simultaneously. You're just done and over and ready to move on with your life. And then also this is the most important time to really get into it. So you're just getting pulled both directions.
I really loved your launch. I love the way that whole thing was set up. I thought that was really different. I hadn't really seen that before in terms of like a book launch.
Yeah.
I picked up a copy. I have the watch and I think a couple other things. So I thought that was really cool. Like I learned a lot in terms of like, if you're going to do something unique and do it
Sure.
right.
Yeah, that was, I decided at one point, I'm going to go all in. I mean, part of the thing is that it's funny. It's like talking the book, like literally talking the book, is when it was time to do the pre-launch, like I knew I was like determined I'm going to sell X amount of dollars worth of this book because Part of the system I teach in the book, that's a WIN, acronym, WIN. Part of it's like invest, and it doesn't have to be money. Talk about the bike, like the bike ride. I bought a cheap bike off Facebook Marketplace, and I fixed it up, but each individual component cost $40, about one a month. There wasn't this huge investment, but the time, like I spent hours every month, like between watching the videos and talking to my phone and like fixing these things and figuring it out, and sometimes doing it 2 or 3 times because you do it wrong the first time. So I was investing time and energy and effort, right? But for the book, there was a money thing. I was hooked up to this publisher, but how the relationship worked is I paid for this course where they would teach me how to write it and hook me up with these editors. And then as part of that, the first print of books is included in that. And then after that, I have all the rights to everything. And so it's not like a classic publisher relationship where you just get royalties. But also it's not like a classic independent thing where you don't have the help and the assistant of publishers and editors and the marketing and all that. So really it's kind of the best of both worlds. You work with a publisher who takes you on and takes you through every step of the way with people that have done this 1,000 times before, right? And then in the end, you walk away with with all the rights.
Right.
So with that though, is I laid down some money to pay for the startup costs with this publisher. And the only way I'm getting that money back is by selling enough books to cover this cost. And so then I said, okay, well, the publisher was like, okay, you have to sell X amount of copies. And I was like, it's like 200 copies. I'm like, 200 copies? Dude, I might fuck around and sell 500 copies.
Yep.
And then just kind of like joking, like tongue in cheek kind of. And he's like, if you sell 500 copies, that might be the record. So I go, might be? Well, what's the record? What is it? He's like, whatever. I said, okay, I'll sell 540. Well, that guaranteed me the record. He's like, yeah, that'll do it. I was like, all right, it's on. And so then now I'm like, man, I just really talking all this shit. We hung up the call and I was like, what did I just do?
Same thing.
And so, anyway, I did the math and I'm like, okay, cool. Like the 200 wouldn't actually get me to where I need to be. I really need to be about 400 copies will put me to where I'll be cash positive at the end of this thing. Yep. But now I'm just like talking myself. I should have stopped there. Instead, I kept piling it on. And so then it was on. And then I just went all in on it. There's something we said for like fully going in on a goal, right? Anyway, we did it. The last day, like the next day was the last day to be doing this thing. And I sold a couple copies, few people who said they were going to buy like bulk packages that hadn't completed them. I was like, dude, you got to do this now, like today. Yep. and it made it happen and did it. And then it was great, but that was definitely a challenge.
I get driven off the same shit. Like I got told, I think I was talking to someone and they've written maybe 4 books. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to sell 1,000 copies. And he's like, maybe 4% of all authors sell 1,000 copies. I was like, thanks for telling me, because now I'm definitely going to do it.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Like I'm going to not sleep until it's fucking done.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, authors, right? But individual books, right? They say I think like less than 2% of books sell 1,000 copies, and then whatever less than 1% sells 10,000 copies. Yeah. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to sell 10,000 in the first year, and then I can just get that monkey off my back. Fast forward, I actually I did not, because I hit the 1,000. I'm over that, but other priorities and things came up.
That's also an insane, like once you start selling books, you realize how insane 10,000 copies really is.
Yeah,
like,
I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
it's going to happen for sure. But it's I decided at one point I decided getting course correcting, right? I was driving for that pretty hard, and I was a couple months in and I was over 1,000 copies, and I was like, okay, I see the path to do this. I don't think that that's the best use of my time right now. If I hit that number in 5 years, I think that's just as good, Yeah. And so that was kind of where we landed there.
Yeah, no, I felt the same way. I was like, all right, 1,000. I might have just fucking talked myself into something real stupid here. Selling 1,000 copies in like the first, week or whatever my number was. Yeah. I think I sold 520 copies day one. And then over the course of that next week, people kept stepping up and buying, and a couple of people, I don't know who, bought a bunch of copies. I ended up hitting 1,000 in like a month.
Right. That's great.
And I was like, okay, I'm great. I did everything I need to do. I came, I saw, I conquered.
Yep.
If it keeps selling awesome, I will keep promoting it. We'll keep using it. We'll keep speaking and, giving away copies of those things. And
Yep.
that's kind of where my head is at, is like speaking gigs.
Yeah.
That's where most of the copies the unit volume will go from here on out.
That's it, right? Like I mean, every day, a couple copies get
Yeah.
sold either through, bookstores or Amazon or whatever. But that's kind of where the volume's going to be at for me too, is with the speaking. Is just setting up speaking fees also, where it's like, it can be X amount or less than plus so many copies of the book, and just kind of arranging packages in that manner.
Dan Martell, I think, was one of the first ones I ever heard doing that, where it's like, yeah, just buy 5,000 copies of the book and I'll show up. And it's like, brilliant.
On that, what I'm going to do, or I've been doing a little bit, I'm going to do some more of, is instead of just having them buy them through me, is what you do is you when they buy, or they say they're going to buy them, they can buy them directly from me if you want, but you then place the order through their local Barnes and Noble and then pick them up there. And that way, then Barnes and Noble starts getting this history of bulk orders of this book being bought different parts around the country, and then more likely to get put in stock.
That's brilliant. See, podcasting, man, you get value as the host too.
Yeah. So like, I'm likely do this event down in San Diego, next year. And so, so with that same thing, like a bundle of books can be a part of that. And so, I might just have them buy them there. Sometimes I do that if I know them. If I don't know them that well, if it's just like a gig, then I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
And so, that's when I'm going to place the order, but through the nearest Barnes and Noble. And then the day before, I'll show up, pick them up, and then be ready to go.
Smart. Brilliant. I love it, man. So with the book, I know a big part of this is like speaking gigs. Is there specific topics? Like, if anybody's watching, I know some people that
Sure.
put on events, watch this podcast. Like, is there certain niche events or things you're looking to do in the speaking world?
So there's a couple of groups of people that I tend to resonate with, or feel like I have the most in common with. One is athletes, or student athletes specifically. Like I said, I was a PE teacher for 8 years. I coached high school wrestling for 10 years. Like, I know that world very well. I work really well with athletes. I've had success athletically myself, the entire thing. That's something that I really feel like I have a lot to offer. And the other thing is small business owners, or just business owners in general. A lot of it's for trades, as far as, people that own home service businesses, window washing companies, things like that. Those, heating, air conditioning businesses, like these types of things. It's just really just kind of like small businesses in local communities. That's something that, I mentioned my grandfather ran a business. He owned an air conditioning company. My dad, when I was a kid, that's what my dad did, is he ran the air conditioning business. Right. And so like, I know that kind of local hustle, local small business thing really well. The things it takes, the cast of characters involved, like the whole thing I have a lot of experience with. And so that's another group that I know my message resonates with and really helps. And the third group is even just corporate, right? Like, I've done some stuff with Chick-fil-A, right? And just like going in there and working with some of their teams, with culture within the companies, right? So they're kind of the three groups, like athletes/students, small businesses, and then with teams within larger companies.
I love that, man. That's awesome. Chick-fil-A, what a cool opportunity.
Yeah, I did go say what's up to the cow.
Oh yeah. And eat some grilled chicken nuggets, dude. Those things are the best.
Oh, dude, if I'm eating Chick-fil-A, I'm not going grilled chicken.
Oh, come on.
If I'm going to eat there, I'm going in. I'm either going to, that's how we're, dude, I'm either not going to have anything, or I'm going to get like a chicken biscuit and just go for it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Spicy, or is it, they do the spicy chicken too?
Crispy one? Dude, the crispy biscuit sandwiches.
I don't think I've had one. I just barely got onto the Chick-fil-A wagon like the last couple months.
Yeah, that's how same thing, man. Like, if we're whatever, if it's like you end up at the pizza place or whatever, it's like, just have some pizza or don't go.
Yeah. That's where I had to get to that point as kind of an overweight guy. I finally had to realize, like, you've just got to not go for a long time, right? Because you don't have that bandwidth to say no.
Totally.
Stay the fuck away.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let your social life kind of die for a little while to, come back out as someone that has the willpower to like go sit down and like have a meal, but have the right kind of meal when it's not the right time for something else.
It's like drinking. Never done well with like, oh, only 1 to 2 drinks a night.
Ooh, no.
It's like, nope. Now what we can do is okay, I'm going to drink like this one night a week and that's it. I can do that.
Yep.
And then you look ahead. Oh, we're going to dinner Friday night. Okay, cool. That's my day. I'll drink on Friday and no other days. Like that's easy, right? Same idea. It's like go to the pizza place or don't go.
Yeah, and that's
like
I got there with drinking too.
You can show up and have a salad and have 1 or 2 pieces of pizza, and it's not going to totally derail your whole diet. But who's doing that?
No.
You know what I mean? No, I want to get there. Like I want to put down 4 slices at least.
Oh yeah, minimum. Like that's
or just not go. And that's fine.
That's it. Like I got to the alcohol part first. I got to the point like right after the pandemic where I was like, I can't drink. Like if I drink, I'm shit the next day. Like the whole thing is just fucked. So I stopped drinking. Basically, I might drink 10, 12 times a year now.
Yeah.
Right. Cause if I go out and drink, I know the next day is screwed.
Right.
And I don't even drink, even if I don't drink that hard, it's just my body just hates it.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, yeah, I'll drink like 10, 12 times a year and the rest of the year I don't. And I'm like, I have to bring that to the food too. Like,
right.
If you're gonna have a cheat meal, it's like, the next day you're gonna be lethargic. You're gonna be wanting all those same things again. Like you've got to just kind of be prepared for it. And like,
totally. Yeah. With drinking, that's what we do. My wife and I, it's like, okay, like I said, usually it's like 2 nights a week. Okay. No, ahead of time. All right. 2 nights a week. That's it. And then just don't even worry about it. And then it's like, it's like, oh yeah, we're going out to dinner this night or this thing's going on or it's this, whatever.
Yeah.
You just kind of have it planned out and then you just know. And those nights you don't worry about it. You have a good time. And then the other day it's like, no, I'm not going to have it today.
No, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it, man. This has been awesome. Is there anything you want to leave people with? Any sage wisdom or words of advice or anything, encouragement?
One thing, if you like podcasts, check out just started up's podcast called Not in My Box.
Okay.
Which is, it's about fitness and coaching.
Right
and it's
on,
kind of panel of expert style. So I'm not going to have different guests every week, but I have a couple very knowledgeable, experienced guests panelists, I should say.
Kind of rotate in and out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right
so
on.
at first I was thinking maybe the same 2 or 3 people every week, but then people got things going on. And so I got about 5 or 6 of them, and there's always going to be 2 with me every time.
Very cool.
And so this last one was with 2-time Olympian Wes Kitts. And also this lady, Ryan Metzger. Ryan Metz, Coach Metz, she actually was the 2022, the NSCA Assistant Strength Coach of the Year.
Wow.
And so, I mean, that's a huge honor, right?
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing. So she's a collegiate strength coach. She's worked at Clemson, Tennessee, Kentucky, like big time D1 schools. And now she actually does contracting out to different schools for that. And so I had her on, and so that's a whole different angle on things when you get into the collegiate strength conditioning side. And so these are and then, had Wes Pyatt, who's a old time games competitor, has owned a CrossFit gym really long time, is really involved in the community side of the gym ownership. Seth Page, who's with Jump Ship Training. He used to be with Misfits Training, and he does programming. And so he owns some gyms, but is really involved in the competitor side, right? And so you get these kind of different people, different areas, and just talk about people with questions, talk about different topics in fitness industry and everything. So that's been a lot of fun guest interviews are great. I love doing those, get to know you, different experiences, but this kind of panel of expert style is a little bit different as well, right? You kind of
like it. Yeah.
You can get into the topics more, right? You're not getting into the people as much, but you're getting it a little deeper into the topics.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of fun. Great.
I like that, man.
So
I was actually just talking to Alex. She's going to Hawaii with me for Thanksgiving, her family and my family. And we were talking about going to Seth's gym on Maui.
Dude, so. Seth is great. Seth's rad, man. Yeah. Talk to him. So I'm talk to him, whatever, twice a month, 3 times a month.
Right on, man. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. It's fun.
And thanks again. Keep digging in.